The room that appeared for 5 minutes. The room was never supposed to exist, yet it appeared every day at exactly 7:45 p.m. on the 4th floor of a public library in Chicago, unnoticed by most and unexplained by all. It always appeared in the same location, between the history section and a permanently locked emergency exit, as if it had always belonged there. The room never lasted long, remaining visible for precisely 5 minutes before vanishing completely without leaving any trace. No alarms were triggered, no cameras recorded its presence, and no official systems ever acknowledged that it had appeared. Most people walked past the corridor without seeing anything unusual, absorbed in their routines and distractions. Others felt a subtle discomfort, a quiet sense that something was off, but quickly dismissed the feeling. Marcus Hale noticed the room because noticing things was part of who he was and how he worked. He was an urban planner trained to recognize wasted space, architectural inconsistencies, and places that felt wrong. Corners that served no purpose and hallways that led nowhere always caught his attention. That evening, Marcus was walking through the library when he suddenly stopped mid-step. A door stood in front of him where none had existed the day before. It was gray, completely unmarked, and slightly warm when he placed his hand against its surface. He examined the surrounding wall carefully, finding no seams, cracks, or signs of recent construction. Marcus checked his watch and saw the time read exactly 7:46 p.m., which made his unease deepen. After a brief hesitation driven by curiosity more than courage, he slowly turned the handle. The door opened silently, revealing a small white room with no windows, no furniture, and no decoration, illuminated only by a soft ceiling light. The air inside felt heavier, as if the space itself was holding something unseen. Marcus stepped into the room cautiously, listening closely to every sound. That was when he realized he could hear breathing that did not belong to him. Before he could react, the door closed behind him without making a sound. The breathing stopped instantly, replaced by a silence so complete it felt artificial. A calm voice then spoke, seeming to come from everywhere at once. The voice explained that the room existed to answer one question. It clarified that Marcus would be allowed to ask that question only once. Marcus laughed nervously, suggesting it had to be some kind of elaborate prank or experiment. The room offered no reaction to his attempt at humor and remained perfectly still. His watch vibrated gently on his wrist, reminding him that time was still moving. The display showed 7:47 p.m., and Marcus suddenly became aware of how little time he had. The voice calmly stated that the room would collapse in 5 minutes. Marcus felt his heart rate increase as his thoughts raced uncontrollably through possibilities. A question like this could change everything he believed about life and reality. He considered asking about the future of humanity and whether it would survive. He thought about asking what happens after death and if consciousness truly ends. He even considered asking how the universe had actually begun. Something inside him, however, urged caution instead of urgency. Marcus asked what would happen if he chose not to ask anything at all. The light dimmed slightly as the voice replied that no one had ever attempted that before. Marcus swallowed hard and asked who had built the room. The voice answered calmly that he was asking the wrong kind of question. In that moment, Marcus understood something fundamental about the space he was standing in. The room was not designed to provide information but clarity. Marcus asked whether he could ask about another person instead of himself. The voice answered that this was permitted. Taking a slow breath, Marcus asked if his sister would be okay. The room remained silent longer than before, stretching the moment painfully. Finally, the voice answered that she would not be the same. Marcus closed his eyes, feeling the weight of the response settle deep in his chest. The answer was not comforting, but it felt undeniably honest. Marcus asked why the room existed at all, desperate to understand its purpose. The voice reminded him that he was asking again and that only one question remained. His watch vibrated again, now displaying 7:49 p.m., signaling the end was near. Marcus felt his thoughts slow as he looked around the empty space. He realized many people must have walked this hallway before him. Some had likely seen the door, while others never noticed it at all. Those who entered never spoke about the experience afterward. Not because they were forbidden, but because silence felt more truthful. Marcus asked what the room was truly meant for. The voice softened slightly before responding, acknowledging the weight of the question. It explained that the room existed to remind intelligent species of something essential. Ignorance, the voice said, was not the greatest danger. The greatest danger was asking the wrong question. The light began to flicker as the walls subtly felt as though they were closing in. Marcus checked his watch and saw the time change to 7:50 p.m. A strange pressure filled the room, like a breath held too long. Marcus quickly asked if he would remember this experience. The voice replied that he would remember, but he would doubt it. Without warning, the door opened behind him. Marcus stumbled backward into the hallway as the room vanished instantly. The wall was solid again, smooth and completely ordinary. People walked past him, laughing and talking without concern. No one noticed Marcus standing there in shock. He checked his watch and saw that it was now 7:51 p.m. For several days afterward, Marcus returned to the hallway at the same time. The door never appeared again during those visits. Weeks passed, yet the experience remained vivid in his memory. Months later, Marcus was redesigning a public space for the city. While reviewing the blueprints, something immediately caught his attention. He noticed a room that served no clear purpose in the design. Without hesitation, he erased the room from the plans. Marcus paused, reflecting on why the decision felt so important. He finally understood what the room had taught him. Not every question requires an answer. Some questions exist only to shape how we live. Marcus continued his work with a quieter sense of intention. He began designing spaces meant to encourage reflection rather than excess. The memory of the room never faded, even when doubt returned. He stopped trying to explain the experience logically. Instead, he accepted it as a moment of clarity. Somewhere else in the world, another person walked through a familiar hallway. They felt something strange but could not explain why. At exactly 7:45 p.m., a door quietly appeared. For someone else, it would be impossible to ignore. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more original science fiction and share it with someone who loves mysterious ideas.